Today I'll be taking a look at the price of Bitcoin and what it's been doing over the past month since we last checked into it. We're going to be performing some technical analysis in order to make some predictions on where we can expect to see Bitcoin go in the near future. Let's get into it. How's it going, guys? Ryan here and welcome back to another crypto video. We're once again taking a look at BTC, also known as Bitcoin, performing some technical analysis on it and making some price predictions on where Bitcoin could be going in the next few days, weeks and months. But before we get into that, guys, please remember to leave a thumbs up if you do enjoy today's video, and if you want to see more of this sort of content, hit subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. We cover crypto, stocks, investing and wealth management. I'd also love to know your thoughts down in the comments section below on what Bitcoin is doing right now. Where do you think it's going to go in the near future? But without any further ado, let's jump straight into today's video. Welcome into CoinSpot, guys. If you're looking to buy Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies, there's a link down in the description of today's video where you can sign up and start buying now. But let's take a look at Bitcoin itself, and you can see on our hourly chart here, we're currently sitting at an Australian dollar price of $65,542. We peaked very recently at roughly about 71,540 odd. I'd suggest 460 odd, right about there. That's been our most recent peak as of late. But let's take it to the daily chart to get a bit better perspective. So as you can see, obviously since the big decline that we had experienced, we have started going up. And more interestingly, we were sitting at probably about this point here when we last took a look at Bitcoin, and clearly quite a lot has actually occurred since that point in time. One interesting thing is it seems we have a trading channel which has effectively formed in an upwards direction. Now let's try and put in place a chart to reflect that, and as you can see, this is probably a relatively good one. Here we put in a trend line, and I'll just make it a bit thicker so it's easier to see. We put in a trend line here, which is basically showing us from the very bottom, which is where we're sitting at 40,599 Australian dollars. We have then climbed, and this has a few key touch points. We've obviously got the bottom right here, we have this point here, and we have the point at which we are at today. We've bounced off, and hopefully we're coming back up now off this key trend line. And why is this important? Well, it's important because this is showing us that we are moving obviously in an upwards direction, but it is the most important thing for Bitcoin to hold to continue its trajectory upwards. Now, what else can we do? What is the top end of this? Where is the resistance points that are currently displayed to us? Well, let's chuck in another chart here, and as you can see, it's not as clear cut as we can expect to see. On the support point, we're actually going to have to, I suppose, move this a little bit inwards. So what I'm going to do is try and determine exactly where the channel is, and in fact it looks like that this channel might actually be condensing slightly. So I've put it at almost, there we go, that's about the peak of where we hit the other day. Now let's try and capture as much data as possible. To be honest, it's looking like probably about there is the best fit for us. Or let's have a look, actually, maybe even this sort of a setup here. That's basically what we are seeing. So we're going up, we're moving in a good trajectory, but we are consolidating simultaneously. And that's obviously from a month-long perspective. And it's been moving in the right direction. Looking at the volume as well, the volume's been relatively steady. At the start of the run, we saw obviously a lot of buying going on, and that's what has driven us upwards. Obviously, Bitcoin is the coin that dictates what the rest of the market did. So when we started going up here, all the other coins followed. Some flew up, some are just, trundling up. Some are still sort of going just, sideways in this sort of a manner, but they're a bit higher than where they were before. But overall, looking relatively good. But from a horizontal support and resistance point, where are we sitting? Well, I really do think that from a horizontal point of view, we are sitting at another key point as well. So if I just chuck in this line right here, this line is sitting at about 65,896 Australian dollars. So let's just have a look at that. This appears to me to be a key point. And why is it a key point? Well, look at the amount of price action that's touched it in recent history, as well as if we go over this direction, you can see plenty of price action has occurred in this region. You can see that we have, some nice little breaks above it. When we dip, it breaks below, and all the moves from this point are relatively important in the overall trend of Bitcoin. So coming back to this is a key support point which we're sort of sitting on at the moment, and this also intersects as well with our overall trend of moving upwards over the past month, that support point. So we've got two key support points. So it's really important for Bitcoin to hold this. If we don't hold this, then, well, basically we're going to be dropping. Where could we be dropping to? Well, let's chuck in once again another point of, I suppose, horizontal support. Let's just zoom out a bit. Let's have a look. Where does that fit exactly? Well, it's probably to about here, 61,000 sort of level, before then we drop any lower. So we really don't want to be going below that sort of region, because otherwise I think we're in a world of pain. But we're still within this upwards trending channel, which is a positive for us moving forward. So that is good. As long as over the next few days we bounce and maintain this upward trajectory, then we are in a good position. Now, where is the top resistance point? Well, let's chuck that one in as well. I think it's about here, because as you can see, so much action is happening at that point, but we can't get past it for an extended period of time or a close for the day. So I think that is really our key point of resistance, which is sitting at 70,517 roughly. So, and you can see same thing once again, there's been plenty of price action that's occurred at this point. In fact, it might actually just be a little bit lower. There we go. Probably at about, here we go, let's click on it, 70,000 realistically is that point, 70,000 Australian dollars. So that's what we need to break through. We're at a point now, as you can see, where things are getting tight. So one of two things is going to occur. Obviously, as I mentioned before, if this breaks, we're moving down to this next point here. Or alternatively, let me zoom back up. Alternatively, we're going to break upwards. And if we do break upwards, where are we headed? Well, realistically, the next level we're headed for is probably at about this point, 76,000 Australian dollars. Nice little move upwards. And I think if we do break out, it's going to be a relatively sharp jump, just due to the fact that I suppose this point we're at now is key. So the moves are either going to be very strong in either direction. I don't think we're going to see any sideways action. It's going to be a break up, or it's going to be a breakdown, depending on what occurs over the next few days. But let's bring in some more indicators. Obviously, the key moving averages are important for us to look at. The first of which is our 20-day moving average. Then of course that's our short term. So our medium term will be then our 50-day moving average, and then our longer term moving average is that 200-day, which I'll put in purple right there. Now, what you can see is a golden cross did occur for Bitcoin. Early on, right here, probably just after we last analyzed the coin, it occurred with the 20-day crossing the 50-day moving average at roughly 47,000 Australian dollars. But now we've also seen that 20-day moving average cross above the long-term moving average of 200 days at roughly $60,000. So that's really good. If we maintain this sort of momentum, what we'll see hopefully is this 50-day coming up and crossing above the 200-day as well. Positive thinking, positive vibes. We need the price action to obviously sustain, but these will also act as key support points if we do fail. Obviously the 200 days, the major one, we want to make sure we're maintaining above that. You can see we obviously jumped above it here. Very good stuff. But right now, one interesting thing I want to look at is we bounced not only off the upwards trending channel, we also bounced off the 20-day moving average. So that is clearly acting as a support point for the price of Bitcoin right now. So important that that does not fail and it maintains as a support level as opposed to breaking through and then becoming a new resistance point. So interesting stuff there. I'll get rid of some of these averages now. Let's take a look at the MACD, see what we're doing there. As you can see, as probably everyone's aware, we haven't been, moving sharply upwards like the top, so it's relatively calm. We're going up and down, stepping stone type thing, or actually a staircase sort of style, moving upwards. We're at the bottom of that right now, so if we do manage to bounce properly off this point, then we will see this cross back over and start moving in the right direction. MACD looking alright, probably on the, I suppose, good side of things, but when you have a cross like that and it starts moving, that's great. We don't want the polar opposite because then we're moving downwards. So just keep that in the back of your mind. That's probably the one indicator that would indicate to me that we're going to trend sideways. Other than that, I think we're either, honestly, we're breaking up or we're breaking down. Let's bring in one final indicator as well, the RSI, just to look at the strength of the coin. You can see we were overbought at one stage very recently. We've come back into the normal sort of range and dropped to about where we were last time we started picking up back on the 3rd of August, sitting at roughly 56 points. Plenty of room for us to move upwards. We're in the safe range, probably end up back into that overbought territory. As I mentioned, we're going to move sharply if we do move upwards. We're going to move sharply if we do move downwards. So look out for that, guys. Really, what we're aiming to see here is support holding up. I know, look, even making this video, it looks like we're moving back to test that little bit again, but I think we will bounce. The thing with cryptos is just due to the volatility, they're not going to perfectly bounce off points, especially something to the value of Bitcoin. They're going to, either go just over, just under, all that sort of thing. You can see here clearly same sort of situation. We've bounced off this key point resistance. We didn't quite make it here. We overshot it here. We sort of did the same here. We perfectly hit it there. It's one of those sort of things. There's just so many variables and so much value in it from a literal coin fiat perspective that you can't hit those key points exactly. So when you see something like that and dips below, it doesn't necessarily mean that, we've broken through that support point. It means that you need to be watching now to see what happens over the next few days, hours, minutes, whatever it may be. If we see, a sharp dump, that means, we've broken below the support point. Where we're sitting now, we were up here today, we've moved down, it popped back up and it's coming back down again. Things are getting a bit hairy. I'll go even to the hourly and you can see that is really the case now. We did break down, but there's a bit of indecision. We're probably gonna, start moving upwards if a bit of strength comes back in. Zooming out, in the grand scheme of things, we're only just sort of below that point right there. We've had this occur previously, times before, same as that. You just really got to focus on exactly what is going on and make sure you're watching very, very closely if you're trying to get an entry or exit position. But where's my target? Well, my target is at this point in time to hold our support, hold our support point, hold above 65,000 Australian dollars. And if we are going to move, go back to test this $70,000 point of resistance. Let me know your thoughts on Bitcoin's direction down in the comments section below. Do you think we're at a point where it needs to cool off a bit after its run over the past month? Or do you think we still have a bit more momentum behind us? Let us know down in the comments section below. But of course, if you did enjoy today's video, remember to leave a like. And if you want to see more of this sort of content, hit subscribe and turn on those bell notifications. We cover crypto, stocks, investing, and wealth management. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you have an awesome day. I'll see you next time. Cheers.